Okay, so today we're going to write an equation of a line. This is our warm-up, so this is our review of the last 2 lessons. All right, so the final thing here, we've got m is equal to 5. We have our point 1, 2, and we want the answer in slope-intercept form. Okay, so now as you read through this, your thought process should include the following. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So ultimately, I'm going to end up solving for y. I know that this is m and this is a point. So I was given slope and a point. Given slope and a point, I'm going to start with point-slope form. Point-slope form in its skeleton form looks like this. So I fill out my point-slope form, and then I fill in this information. So the first thing that goes in is a y value. Looking at these 3 numbers, my y is a 2. This is my slope m. Then I put in my x value, which happens to be a 1. Remember, ordered pairs are always in the form x comma y. Okay? So now think about where we want to go. We want to isolate y. So we're going to have to get rid of our parentheses. So y minus 2 is equal to distributing 5x minus 5. And then I'm going to add the 2 to the other side because remember, we want y equals. We want to isolate the y by itself. So now I've got y equals 5x minus 3. Final answer. Right? If we look at the next problem, we are also given a slope. We are given a point. And we want our final answer now in standard form. So now we need to know what standard form is. And if you remember, standard form is ax plus by equals c, where x and y are on the same side. Okay? Don't forget we also talked about the occurrence. We could have a hoy. We could have a vux. These are outside of standard form. A has to be positive in standard form. And we want no fractions. So as I go to do my next problem in standard form, I'm going to write out, this is again, my slope and a point. So I'm going to start with point-slope form. I'm going to fill in my values. So -1 is my y, -1/2 is my slope, and 8 is x. All right. My biggest issue that I'm going to have is I've got to get rid of this dividing by 2. So I wanted to show you a cute little trick to do that, which is going to help you a lot. So since the number on the bottom here is 2, I'm going to multiply this side by 2 and this side by 2. So I multiplied the right and the left both by 2. And now, remember, negative, negative becomes a positive sign. I can distribute my 2y plus 2. These 2's will cancel. Distribute my -1. Negative times a negative is +8. Now, when you're looking at this, so I'm going to kind of give it a squiggly, and you look at this, they're not quite in the same form yet. So we're going to have to put all of our x's and y's on the same side, but the key is that I want to move it to the side so x is positive. X is negative here, so I'm going to move it to this side over here. So I'm going to get rid of it here, and I'm going to add it over here. But now I have to move the 2 to the other side, so now this is gone. So now what am I left with? Here's my wall. What am I left with on this side of my equation? I see a 2y plus 1x. So I can say plus 1x plus 2y. So there's my ax plus by is equal to 6. And I'm done. Right? Okay, let me grab 2 markers here. Grab purple and pink. Pens. Okay, so today, the new topic is going to be parallel and perpendicular lines. So first of all, parallel lines are going to be written using this symbol, parallel. Perpendicular is going to be used this symbol here. All right? Parallel lines have the same slope. So if I have a line that looks like this, and I have a line that looks like this, they have the same slope. M is the same. Perpendicular lines have opposite signs, so positive versus negative, and the word is reciprocal slopes. Okay? So I'm going to redo this chart a little bit over here just to make it a little neater. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 across. I'm going to come down 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. 1/3, -2, and 1. Then we're going to talk about the parallel slope, and this is going to be the perpendicular slope. Okay. So if we say that a line is parallel, then the slope is going to be exactly the same. This is the easiest we can do. So the parallel slope, put a little m there, 1/3, 1/3, these are the same. -2, -2, 1, 1. Perpendicular, though, isn't like that. Perpendicular slope starts at 1/3. This is a positive 1/3. So the opposite is negative. And reciprocal means we take the 1/3 and we flip it over. 3/1. -2 we can put over 1. Negative becomes positive, so there's the opposite sign. 2/1 becomes 1/2. 1 is actually positive 1/1. So now I've got negative 1/1. Right? So we can answer questions. If someone says to you, what is the perpendicular slope to 1/3? The answer is -3/1. Flip the sign, flip the fraction over. Both of those have to happen for perpendicular. Parallel is easy peasy. It's exactly the same. Okay? All right, so let's move down here to the bottom. When we go to write our new equations, all right, our thought process is we always are going to need this point. So I need an xy, and I'm going to need a slope. My slope in this case could be the parallel slope, which means it's the same. Or in the problems today, it could be perpendicular, which is going to be that purple color, which is going to be the opposite reciprocal. Right. So let's do a couple of these. All right. Pull out my highlighter so I'm ready to go. I want to pass through this point. So I have my point. But now what I need is I need it parallel to y equals 4x plus 1. So the first thing we need to know is what is m here? Well, m here is equal to 4. So what's the parallel slope? 4 also. Remember, parallel is the same. So I'm going to write an equation using the point 1, 2, and I'm going to use the slope equal to 4. So I'm going to start in point slope, which is y minus. Plug in my y value, my slope, and my 1. Notice that I want my final answers in slope-intercept form. So that's awesome. Not standard, but y equals form. That's what I'm looking for. So I have y minus 2, 4x minus 4. Get y by itself, so I'm going to add 2. Final answer. Now, what I want to do here is, same idea. Identify the information. Here's my point. I want parallel slope. So slope here is 6. So the parallel slope is also 6. It's exactly the same. So I'm going to use this information right here. Same process. Y minus, x minus, y minus negative 3, x minus 1, m is equal to 6. Y plus 3, multiply, 6x minus 6, solve for y. And I'm done. Okay? So the first type of problem is involving parallel. Now, example 2. I'm going to go down here and do these last two. Again, I'm going to highlight. Now, though, in these problems, we want our answers in, we changed it up, standard form. Oh, the directions are a little bit different for this. Okay, standard form. I want to pass through the point 8, 2, so there's my point. But now I don't want parallel, I want perpendicular to this. So this is the same thing as negative 2x plus 0, so m is equal to negative 2. Perpendicular slope is not negative 2 over 1. It becomes positive, because I want to flip the sign, 1/2. Reciprocal. So remember, this is the rule that we went over on the other page of the notes about perpendicular. This is the slope, this information that I generated that I want to use. Not the parallel slope, not the slope in the equation here, but the perpendicular rule slope. And I want to use it with this point. So I'm going to say y minus something, x minus something. We can go ahead and plug that in. 2, 1/2, 8. Remember, when we divide by 2, I'm going to multiply by 2 and multiply by 2. So I did this on both sides to clear my fraction because I want standard form. So I'm going to multiply. Those cancel. So I can multiply the 1 here. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. Standard form has x and y on the same side, but x has to be positive. So x is positive here, so I'm going to move the y to this side. So I'm going to move that, and then I'm going to get rid of the 8 by adding it over here using opposites. X minus 2y is equal to 4, which then I can rewrite left and right. So I feel like while this one seems a lot harder, the hard part is this, remembering the perpendicular rule is not only a sign change, but also a fraction flip. And then the algebra of getting rid of this denominator so that we can get to standard form. Let's do one more together. One more. Okay? If I look at my information, I have my point. Reading carefully, I want perpendicular. This slope is negative 2/5. The perpendicular slope is going to be a sign change, so I'm going to go to positive 5 over 2. Before I finish this problem, I will say that when I'm done today, if you're struggling with the Delta Math assignment, I would go back and rewatch this video, especially if you didn't write them down. Take a minute to write down a couple examples just so you have a model to work off of. It's a lot of information, especially because I'm asking you to give the answers in different forms. Okay? All right, coming down in here, 5/2, I'm going to set up my equation. So I go to my point slope form, y minus x minus -7, 5/2, and 6. Excuse me 1 second. All right. We've got to get rid of this 2 in the bottom. Okay, remember, standard form, not allowed to have fractions. 2y plus 14 is equal to, multiply the 5 now, 5x minus 30. Same thing, I want to keep x positive. So I'm going to bring the y over here. So I'm going to get rid of it here. I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to get rid of the minus 30 by adding 30. That's going to give me 5x minus 2y is equal to 44. And I'm done.